Welcome everyone to a brand new video. Thank you so much for choosing my channel for to inform yourself. Today we're doing a review on NATO, US, and let's say, well, the rest of the world. Today's video is called "The Commandments to Continue Being the Master and to Eternally Stay the Lord and Master of the Planet." Let's begin. Each nation must know its place. They must be afraid to rebel. Force will be used when necessary. Destroy a country from time to time to remind others what can happen if they get out of line. It is required to interfere with policies of other countries, manipulate the elections of other nations. Only candidates who bow to our policies can win elections. Execute operations of regime changes and organize color revolution choices. These operations must be continued. When this behavior stops, countries will begin to ignore us and begin to think they can act their own will. Well, my friends, I want to take this small break and welcome all to your channel, My World Andino. I want to ask you to subscribe, share, leave your opinion, leave a like. What I want to tell you here is that the information that I'm giving you here is prejudice free. It's up to you to analyze and then make your own conclusions. Let's continue, my friends. So, the commandments go on to say, we do not want the rest of the nations to start thinking the same thing and go their own separate ways while ignoring the commandments. Hmm? At this time, the United States are still the most significant power in the world, with control of the planet. Or are we in another moment in history? In recent years, we continuously fear how the situation is turning dire. Relationships between the US and NATO countries and Russia go from bad to worse. There is a trade war with China. North Korea remains an indecipherable problem, which brings shame to nations and organizations that would like to control the country. I continuously hear how we are close to a world war. We can often be close to making a decision, but the final step doesn't come. A world war decision is a suicide for a great nation like the United States, even for any individual like myself or you. Um, to make matters worse, for the United States, President Putin recently unveiled the new Russian weapon system against which the United States is defenseless and will continue to be in the predictable future. The plan was to surround Russia with military bases and missiles batteries, followed by a preventive strike, destroying their ability to retaliate and forcing them to agree to a pact or surrender. This plan is now known to have conclusively failed. It is assumed that an attack by the US and NATO against Russia is an act of suicide. Even limited military confrontations are now unthinkable. Russia can now inflict unacceptable damage to NATO forces at a safe distance without endangering any of its assets. If Russia is not interested in attacking any country and the United States and NATO know they would be damaged, how likely is a world war? A world war? Russia's new arms have made it impossible to start ignoring, have made it possible to begin ignoring the United States. It is still essential to maintain a credible military posture. Politically, it is losing control as the global institutions that Americans once power was based on are now no longer there. What we are seeing is the resurgence, yes, the resurgence of national states, even empires. Russia, Turkey, Iran are deciding the political future of Syria without any useful contribution from the US. Significantly, while Russia and Iran are in a class of their own. Concerning the US, Turkey has been a US ally and NATO's second largest force. Turkey is no longer eager to please the US, is quite telling, except during the strange and tumultuous 20th century when the US made a brief appearance in the world stage. These three countries received different names that ended in an empire: the Russian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Persian Empire. Of these three, the Russian and the Ottoman empires are heirs of Holy Roman Germanic Empire, whose eastern half, with the capital of Constantinople, continued for centuries after the Roman became despoiled, ruined, and a dark age descended on Europe. After Constantinople fell into the hands of the Turks and the Islam took over the region, the Orthodox Christianity center migrated to Moscow North region. Now, at China, or the Chinese Empire if you prefer, it is now allied with Russia. The four largest, oldest Eurasian empires are talking and cooperating, while the stranger on the other side of the solar system is not taken into account. The United States has three options. The first, I have as I have said in several of my other videos, is to start a great war by committing national suicide and dragging other countries down. Experts speak of the great political division within the US government. The governments lack the political will to make a decision whether they're going to go into war or do something else. But although they're not coming together to make one decision, there's always the risk of falling into a great war by accident. The other option would be to withdraw, to stop trying to project power around the world, retreating to its borders, and licking its wounds. Also, lacks political will to do that. All left in the realm of possibility is to pretend everything is going well for as long as possible. It is possible to say that everything is fine while everything crumbles. The answer will be to start the answer will be to start the U.S. convincing enough people at home and around and worldwide that the U.S. is still dangerous. If the U.S. military armed forces hide his growing weakness for for a while longer, the U.S. military no longer be able to accomplish may not be able to accomplish any of his goals. But as they have demonstrated by the U.S. coalition's bombing of Mosul, Iraq, they can still commit mass death. Similar acts have been committed by representatives of Saudi Arabia in Yemen and by its Ukrainian representatives in Donbass. Although the opportunities to commit senseless mass murders with impunity are now increasingly scarce, forcing the US to resort to more acts of senseless violence. Each of Europe, I'm sorry, much of Europe is separated from the rest of the world by an elaborated wall of outer nonsense. It has a lot to do with chemical weapons. Hmm? It's a fear as the fear principle. For example, take a look at the recent Israeli rocket attack on Syria. It was justified using obviously false video images produced by the White Helmets, a group known for organizing false terrorist events. In their latest videos, they don't care that the video looked fake. In their last video, it was apparent they were on a movie set. There were actors, some with white helmets, without any protective equipment, who drew buckets or threw buckets of water on children, trembling. How does that make sense? Hmm? Now, the five rockets that were shot down by Russian, launched by Israel, the Russians had warned that the Russians had warned the United States they were going to they were aware of the provocation with fake chemical weapons planned on the pretext of launching a rocket attack. Russia said they were going to shoot not only the rockets but also those who instigated the attack. US government decided that it would be too risky to launch from Navy ships. Instead, they asked the Israelis to do the honors to attack some remote base in Syria, rightly thinking that Russians would not immediately retaliate, as not Russian was going to be injured in the airbase attack. My friends, we're coming to an end here, and I just want to say that we are experiencing a strange period of history that we are going through. This is very strange. The U.S. lies non-stop. The truth is not on their side. Um, well, we still don't know how long this strange period will last, but it's probably not going to last that long. Probably 3, 4 years. But but um I'm thinking that the U.S. will disappear as a world power, and who's going to make sure of that? Are the free nations, the nations that don't bow to their policies and politics. So, my friends, this has been a short review of the relations of Russia, Eurasia, NATO, and the U.S. I hope you like this information. Leave me comments, leave your opinion. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Well, and this is my last video before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone, or Happy Holidays, if you okay. So ciao ciao for now, my friends.